What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. With that being said, man, I want to speak on this Kawhi Leonard situation and touch on something that people not really talking about, right? It seems like every couple hours we have a new report of something that Kawhi did and Kawhi, this, Kawhi that, how terrible of a person Kawhi is for trying to allegedly extort the Clippers, right? And not playing and wanting to get paid. And Kawhi wanted a house, he wanted a jet, he wanted endorsement deals, he wanted, this and that. And what I want to talk about though is the fact that I think that, like, as a professional athlete, they are food, right? They're caught in the middle. They're caught in the middle of people who make less than them, and they're also in between, like, people who make more than them, like the people at the top of the Clippers organization, right? And so you hear a lot about players. They tell players, "Well, watch out for these type of women," and that's where I'm gonna start at. Like, watch out for these type of women or people in general, people who don't have anything to lose, because they will bring you down. They'll come around you and they'll tell you, they'll make you feel good. They'll tell you anything you want to hear. But then in the end, these type of people are always looking to, they're looking to gain from you, and they're trying to benefit from being around you. And a lot of players are really, they look up, they looking out for that type of situation. But also, what I think a lot of players they have to worry about is when you're dealing with a person who has nothing to lose, like some of the young ladies that these people deal with, you got to really be on point. But that's not the end of it. You have to also worry about people who have, you're dealing, once you start dealing with people who have leverage, people who have power, and people who can control the narratives, they also can ruin you, right? And so when you're dealing with these type of people, you have to really be on point. And I think Kawhi thought that he had leverage, and see, because really, there's not too much that Kawhi could have done. I don't think he really could have done anything to the take down anybody in the Clippers organization. Like, and I'm referring to, like, Steve Ballmer. There's nothing he could do. He's no threat to Steve Ballmer, even as a millionaire. Like, I don't care if he had Steve Ballmer on tape saying something like the other guy, like the other guy who owned the team before him. Like, it's really not a whole lot that a player is going to be able to do to take down a team or organization. That's not going to happen. That has never happened, right? So, but an organization can take you down as a player, and so that's, I think, the mistake of Kawhi and Kawhi's uncle. They made the mistake of thinking that they had leverage, and the leverage is Kawhi's playing ability, right? So if Kawhi was doing all of these things that they say he was doing, like trying to manipulate and like blackmail, or not blackmail, but really like bribe them into doing things, as a player, you don't really have no leverage. What you want to do as a player is go in there, play hard, work for the money that that you earn, and keep it moving. Because you see that when you start trying to use your leverage, thinking that you have leverage, then that's when they set you up, and that's when things go sideways. Like you see what Kawhi Leonard. It's just like when you see, like, a pretty young girl, right? A pretty young girl will meet a guy with some money, and she think that just because she's attractive, that she can manipulate this guy into giving her things and doing things for her. Well, really, the guy is already hip, like an older guy is already hip to the game, and he is going to use her while she thinking that she using and manipulating him. He's going to use her And then when she realized that she's been used, then she will, then she'll be, she'll be resentful and upset and hurt by that. And it's like it's the same game, but this time is we talking about athletes using their ability because they think they have leverage. They use the term like they say, well, Kawhi has held several teams hostage, right? Meaning that Kawhi was demanding certain things. He won't come there unless you get Paul George, or he won't come to your team unless you buy him a house. He won't come to your team unless you give him access to a private jet, allow him to make money under the table and stuff like that. If the Clippers organization agreed to any of that, and they let any of that go, that's still going to basically fall more so on Kawhi, because, like I said, you're talking about the sixth richest man in the world. So he has contacts and power that, no way Kawhi can really, he can't compete with the amount of pull and contacts that Steve Ballmer has as the number 6 richest man in the world. So, like, my advice to Kawhi, if I was in his circle, I was like, look, man, just play basketball, try to be the best do the best you can on the court, and don't start, trying to use what you think is leverage, because you might have a little bit of leverage at the time, and what you think is leverage, like, that leverage will weigh it off, and then what you think is leverage will fade, and then now that leverage, or your position of having leverage, has faded off, you don't have that no more, and so now what's next? And that's what people don't think about. They only think about, like, right now, like, how are my decisions, the decisions that I'm making right now, how are they going to affect me in the future? If you create resentment, then when they are able to come after you and get you, then that's what they're going to do. So I think, in my opinion, I think that Kawhi, there's some resentment there between the organization and Kawhi Leonard. They resented that, they invested all this money and all this time in Kawhi trying to bring a championship to the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi was not able to deliver, and now you see the backlash from that. Like, all of that is going to fall on Kawhi. Now, had Kawhi been able to bring a championship to the Clippers, then you probably wouldn't hear about none of this stuff, right? And Kawhi probably wouldn't be going through what he's going through with the Clippers. And so, but since he didn't, you don't just get to walk away and say, "Oh well, I tried," and then walk off into the sunset. And I always talk about, like, LeBron James, like, there are deals made, there's understanding, and people, these young athletes don't understand that, you gotta produce. If you don't produce, then there's going to be resentment there. And I hate to always bring up LeBron James, but LeBron James, I did a video a couple days ago, LeBron James, and I said, like, LeBron James did not uphold his end of the bargain. His end of the bargain was to elevate the NBA and to sell, merchandise for the people that he worked for Nike. He didn't do that. And so if you don't elevate the NBA, you don't sell merchandise, which is you don't get to ride off into the sunset with the money that the NBA has given you and the money that Nike has given you. And so that's what these athletes think. You got to get in there, man. They want to see you when you in there. They want to see you work. They want to see you, especially if you're the face of the league or you're one of the top players in the league. Somebody like Mike. Can you imagine what would, like, Michael Jordan, if Michael Jordan just would have coast just because the league they proclaimed Michael Jordan like the face of the league. And then so once they proclaimed Michael Jordan the face of the league, that all Mike could have just shifted into cruise control. It don't work like that. They want to see you, man. They want to know that you putting in that work. And Mike did. Mike put in that work. And really, when you think about Magic and Bird, Isaiah Thomas, all of those guys put in their work. They did no None of those guys who played in the 80s and the 90s ever got accused of like the face of the league, the franchise ball players. They never got accused of not leaving it all on the court. Isaiah ended his career with injuries. Uh, Larry Bird ended his career with injuries. Magic Johnson ended his career with with a health condition. But all of those guys, man, they played 12, 15 years. And by the time they was done, they was done. And so you knew as a fan, you knew as an owner that these guys put everything into it. Kawhi Leonard, they have been questioning his like dedication to the game for years. And that this is what happened. Like when you're not dedicated to the game and you think you're just gonna snatch some money off the table and then ride off into the sunset, it's not gonna go down like that. And I'm not really surprised that this is happening, to Kawhi Leonard, this situation, because you know these, and the rich people like these owners and stuff, they can do more damage to you than these young ladies who want to get you for child support or alimony or something like that. They can just cut off your lifeline, which meaning that you don't have any more business connections, and it'll only be a matter of time, no matter how much money you made at that at the NBA level or the professional level, how much money you made, that lifestyle will go away. And then next thing you know, there'll be stories about how you're filing bankruptcy and all this other stuff, man. So you playing with people who know the game way better than you know the game. You thinking that you have leverage when you do have leverage, that's the opportunity to operate in good faith and build relationships. And I say that about all franchise ball players. You got to operate in good faith and build relationships. So when your career is over with, you won't have anything to worry about. So that's my take on it, on the Kawhi Leonard situation. I still don't believe that Kawhi Leonard, like he should be the only one who gets in trouble for this, I don't know what to call it, this, for being allegedly paid under the table. But like I said earlier in the video, he don't have as much pull as Steve Ballmer. So he might have to be the one who fall on the sword for this one. You know, is it fair? I don't know, but it's part of the game though, and that's what hurts you. Like the things that you don't know about, those are the things that really come back and bite you, in the butt. But that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.